Well, apparently people who get their heart pumping only occasionally face an increased risk for heart attack.
Researchers at Tufts University Medical College, Center in Boston analyzed data from 14 studies. They looked at the effect of physical and sexual activity on the heart, and they found a small temporary increased risks for a heart attack after a sedentary person exercised. The risk was lower for people with high activity levels. Experts say overall the risk for heart attack was low, and the people who aren't accustomed to exercise should not be afraid of physical or sexual activity.
9 Health reporter Dr. John Torres is joining us from his clinic down in the Springs. So, Dr. John, are sedentary people at an increased risk, and this would make sense, because of the short burst of exercise that makes the heart work much harder and too much too suddenly?
And that's exactly what it is. It's the short burst with an unconditioned heart. So, of course, if you've been exercising on a regular basis and you just increase your exercise a little bit, not a big deal. If, on the other hand, you're a couch potato and you get up and you decide, hey, I'm going to start doing something, I'm going to run 3 miles, not a good idea, especially as you get in your 50s and your 60s, which is where the study was done on those people. That can actually cause an increase in heart attacks. The increase rate is very, very small, and the researchers were very adamant in saying this does not mean people shouldn't exercise, just the opposite. People need to exercise more.
And that brings up the question of exercise, because it's the time of the year where you say, well, I could get out and start walking. It's really nice outside. I mean, if you decide to start some kind of an exercise program, do you really need to call your doctor first or just take it really slow?
Yeah, it just depends on your health and where you've been and what you've been doing over the last winter. If you've been doing absolutely nothing and you have really bad health and you get winded just walking up a flight of stairs, definitely talk to your doctor about it. If, on the other hand, you're a fairly healthy person and you get out once in a while and you want to start something slow, like a slow walk or even a slow jog, might not be a bad idea to go ahead and do that. If you get a chance to talk to your doctor, that make it even more likely that nothing's going to happen or that they can approve even harder exercising. But the interesting part about the study, it wasn't just exercise, it was actually sexual activity too that caused these heart problems. And so, that's a big concern for just about everybody.
You're really a fit guy. I'd like to know what your exercise regimen is.
It depends on which day it is. Some days I bike, some days I'm a big mountain biker. Other days I run when it's like today and I don't want to go out on a bike because I'll get blown off by the wind. So I went on a run today, about a 30-minute run. So I try to get out as much as I can.
Mark and Dr. John, you runners, that's why.
Dr. John and I want to be as fit as the guy on the wall behind him there, Mr. Skeleton back there, whoever he is.
There you
fit.
go.
That guy is fit.
We need to come up with a name for him.
All right, we'll work on that.
Yeah, and again, the one thing with this thing, they said, and I thought the researcher put it really eloquently. She said, essentially, because it's two things, it's physical activity and sexual activity. Not a lot of people engage in physical activity as they get older, but we're finding out as people get older, they're engaging more and more in sexual activity. So that's one thing you need to be cautious with. And the way she put it was eloquent. She said, essentially, physical activity, exercise, think of it as cross-training for sexual activity. So that makes sure that you're fit for that, because, again, that's one of those things that can get your heart pumping and get adrenaline through your system. And that can cause a problem if you have other physical ailments.
Well, that makes sense. Do you see a lot of patients as a result of that? Do you see a lot of heart attacks as a result of intimacy?
I think we probably see more than people let up, because a lot of times they'll come in and tell us that, they were doing something and the story doesn't always make sense, and they don't necessarily want to tell us what they were actually doing at the time. And so, it's one of those things, I think there's more out there than actually they admit to us. But it does happen, and we do know it does happen. So again, that's one of those things that, especially if you're unfit, if you have heart problems, if you're on heart medications, talk to your doctor about it. It's perfectly healthy to have sexual activity. You just want to make sure that you're doing it, correctly. And we're not 20 anymore, is I guess the bottom line.
I know, and seeing all the ads we see on TV for prescriptions,
right?
That's kind of part of the problem probably too.
Exactly, and that adds to it, because taking those medications means more people are having sexual activity later in their life, and they're able to do more sexual activity. So again, with heart conditions, even the commercials tell you, with heart conditions, be very careful. Talk to your doctor before you take these medicines.
Okay.
All good advice. Thank you, Dr. John. You have a good day down there in the Springs.
You bet.
And you can see Dr. John's advice again by going to the health section of 9news.com.
He'll be up here soon. We like him here, we like him there, we love talking to him.
He's a busy guy. I know we're taking him away from his patients down there, but it's nice to get him for a few minutes. He's always got great advice.
I feel like we're stealing him for a minute. Okay.